Hello everyone, welcome back to Bricks and Dragons. Today we are looking at Starfinder Deck of Many Worlds. So, the silliness is sometimes I pick things up intending for me to use them, and then I put them someplace because I think it makes all the sense in the world. And then I forget what I even had gotten. So, I'm kind of picking things up because obviously I made a Lego ship here yesterday, and I'm trying to figure out where I'm putting things because, like I said, I'm kind of out of room here, so I'm doing the best I can. I'm trying to figure everything out, and then here I am. I'm like, wait a minute, I got this thing here, and this could probably help me out, especially when I'm trying to do Star Trek adventures. I've got my narrative play that I'm kind of doing. I'm hoping for it to be a somewhat interesting storyline, something that maybe adds some stuff to anybody listening, and just kind of going from there. So here I have Starfinder Deck of Many Worlds. I'm going to kind of read some of this stuff out here. We have, so hopefully you get an idea of something that we can use. Maybe I'll leave magic out of here because I don't think magic can work very well in Star Trek because it's not like we haven't had gods and goddesses and other strange beings. We have the Q in there. I've got something going on in my own, so hopefully it'll become evident of what's all going on there. But here we have something to kind of help throughout, gives us a nice little picture of what we've got and everything else. Okay, so starting here for Deck of Many Worlds. Welcome to the Deck of Many Worlds. You can use this deck of 100 world cards to quickly and easily create millions of possible worlds by following a short set of instructions after you make your first world. You likely won't need to reference these instructions much, leaving you free to fill in entire galaxies with worlds of your own creation. So my understanding of Starfinder is you're trying to go and find whatever it is, and you're just, in a lot of regards, kind of like a Star Trek. You're exploring. You're trying to find what's out there. On the opposite side of this card, flipping it over, we have sample worlds, which I think are these two. I don't know. These were on the very top. So you'll see multiple cards combine to create a single world, while the next instruction card names each element on the world cards. The rest of these instructions walk you through using those elements to create truly unique worlds and show you how to use this deck to inspire your creation of systems, settlements, and characters. As you proceed, remember, this is your galaxy, so you can always change any minor or major detail of the worlds you create as you see fit. Change gravity or the resident species at a whim. Add or remove entire contents, tweak story prompts, do anything you want. So, very basic. Here's an idea, use it or throw it away. So here we have sample world. So we have a gas giant here. This is what your randomly generated worlds will look like, though most of your worlds will likely have more alien species. Keep this card handy as you learn how to create your own worlds. Here we have this is a gas giant, and of course I'm looking at this behind the camera here, so I'm trying to read it as best I can, and I'm going to have to pull this away here. So give me a second here. So we have fine print. Sometimes, depending on how my glasses sit, I'm better with them on. Sometimes I'm better with them off. So, all right. Okay, so it looks like Scared Deep, which is I'm going to need a bigger print here or something. So what we have is world front cards. So this is explaining it. So we have the art, type, and description. So that's this. Gives you an idea of the world's primary physical features, 2 physical traits. So That's what we have right here. These are the world's gravity, atmosphere, and common biomes. If you like, you can use the biomes with rules for the environmental graphs in their book. Otherwise, you can create your own creatures and biomes and all that stuff. And then 3, we have an attribute bar. So we have, this is a tech planet. It's got an accord. It's using magic. It's got religion. It's got laws of chaos, and it has the idea of good and evil. So we have some sense there. All right, and on the back of our world cards, okay, so we have, this has got like an orc, and it has a sharp wing. So we have Sapiens, which is here. This is the illustration, name, and citation of the sapient species. We have our card number. We have 1 through 100. The threat. So this illustration gives us the name, the citation of a threat species. We have an attribute key. Let's see. Oh, that's this right here. This is combined with the attribute bar on the front of a different card to generate a unique set of attributes for every pair of cards. 8 Starfinder is, or Starfields. So 8, this is, we have a 5 here. The brightest stars a given star field represent a number from 1 to 6. You can use these as a random number generator to decide how many creatures live on a world, for instance. And then 9 is going to be our hook. This story seed adds an interesting twist to a world's attribute or physical traits. Sounds pretty good. Creating a world. Let's see. Follow the steps below to generate one of millions of possible worlds, referencing the layout shown on the sample world instruction card as you go. So I'm kind of borrowing stuff from like Elite Dangerous because it's got a nice system for trade and everything else. And I'm doing more of a freelancer. It's a free trader, really. He gets into some scuffles here and there. He'd really like to stay away from them. Here, depending on how you're running a game, whether you're doing Starfinder, whether you're using this for some other science fiction game, which would work very well. And I think that Pazio has done a very good job at keeping things somewhat generic. So if you want to use it for a different system, it's there and can very easily be used. If it's something that you'd want to just stay with theirs, or depending on how you're customizing it, if you want it to lean one way or another way, or however, you can kind of do that as well. Alright, so shuffle the world cards and then cut the deck. Place the new top card on the table, front side up, the side with the illustrated world, so front side up. Draw the next card and place it below the first, back side up. So you do one here, and then you do this below. So it's never the same, it's always going to be random. So it's never going to say, oh, well, this is that. Here we have. So it makes some sense. All right. So that the attribute key, the key bar with the arrows and lines of the bottom card lines up with the attribute bar and the 6 name attributes of the top card to combine, and tells you a lot about the world. See the individual attribute instruction cards for more information. So essentially what we're going to do is we line it up like this, and this is what they were showing us in the very beginning here. That is how they had it all lined up, but I didn't understand what they were talking about. So this is how we kind of do this, and then this gives us, everything's always going to be random. It's never always going to be the same. We may have some planets that have similar creatures or whatever there, but... And what I might do is, if I'm using this, I might try to recreate like a bottom card or something. or go through and figure out what's what, and maybe I might say that it's just going to be, Ferengi, Romulan, Klingon. Maybe it's another Vulcan world or an Andorian or whatever else we can come up with. Maybe it's another Betazoid world. All right. Draw the next card and place it below the second backside up so that only the hook and the star fields are shown. Oh, okay. So what we're supposed to do is do this. And then we grab another one. Now the hook, which is 9, and the star fields are shown. That's how this goes. Okay, so we have this. So tech is down, the accord is up, laws and chaos are down, good and evil is up. And then what we have here is this is developed by a personality alerting aura, causing the alignment of visitors to change subtly or drastically. So, it's just how things kind of change things up. All right. These hooks are powerful storytelling tools, especially when used in tandem with the world's other elements. See the hook cards and tips for making a good use of these. All right. And then populate your world with aliens. Use the number of bright stars on the left star field to draw that number of cards, placing them underneath the world so that only the leftmost alien, the sapient, of each card is shown. So essentially we're going to flip it, and what we want to see is just these, and that's what we're going to go with. So we have how many creatures that are living there or whatever. So it gives us an idea. And then I'm sure after that, then we're going to do the same for this side. And it gives us what kind of critters we're going against. So, yeah. And then we have hooks in here. Each world you build will have 2 hooks. Though you can... So what I could do is I could even have... Okay, so I could have a list of all the different aliens. And I have to have 5 of them or so. Or maybe I add all this together or something. Whatever. Let's see. Each world you build would have 2 hooks, though you can use just one to add more. These help you create dynamic worlds worth exploring. Hooks sometimes refer to elements explained elsewhere, such as sapience and threats. Terms such as periodically provide flexibility. You can decide whether that means daily, yearly, or according to a deity's divine whim. Occasionally, hooks might seem contradictory with one another or with some other element of the world. Reconciling these contradictions is fertile ground for creativity. For example, why is the mortal avatar of a deity living on a world with a low religion, or perhaps she's hiding from a stronger deity or attempting to sow the seeds of a global faith to grow her power. So we've seen, taking Star Trek, because we're working on Star Trek, where you have a computer that, and this is the one that gave us the idea for Purge. You have a computer that for one day a year, I think it's for like 8 or 12 hours or whatever, there are no laws, there are no crimes, and then people do whatever, and it's a sense of morality. But if you have a very low religious area, maybe it's starting off in one town and it's still branching, or maybe it's in decline. Maybe the rest of the world is starting to get away from it or so. Who knows? Many hooks are worded such that they can follow the world has been, or the world is, or even sometimes the world will be. Using a different leading phrase can radically change the nature of the hook. You can also change those worded in the present tense to be the things that did happen, are happening, or will happen to create wildly different narratives. All right. So we have aliens. I think we kind of get the gist of that. The deck includes 200 different alien species with which to populate your worlds, split into two general categories, sapients and threats. Each alien also includes a citation for a Starfinder product in which you can learn more about them. The information is also available online. Sapients and threats. So I think we can pass that up. The Accord. So we have our line here. Alright, the Accord attribute is an abstraction of the world's level of cohesion, or conflict, both internally and with regard to its system, or the galaxy. For example, a lawful evil world with low accord might be the bane of the system, while one with light accord might have an organized world government and serve an important role in the system as some kind of necessary evil. The world is likely for accord with it up. The world is likely internally peaceful with an organized single or shared government, although this might be thanks to a utopian republic or an oppressive tyrant. So accord, where it's a neutral bar, several divisions, ethnographic, geopolitical, ideological, territorial, or so on, exist among the world's inhabitants with varying levels of cooperation and discord among factions. In accord with the down symbol, societies in this world are discordant, disorganized, or both. Sapient species, nations, or smaller factions might be locked in a political, possibly even violent, struggle for supremacy. And then we have religion doing the same thing. So are we going to worship one religion or more deities as likely widespread and are an integral part of the residents' daily life? Religions have institutions likely that wield great political power. A neutral sign on there, religious organizations have moderate accounts of influence, often in specific social niches. And with a down, while worshippers of various deities likely exist, organized religion has little noticeable influence on the world. Worship of one or more, or even all, deities may be unusual or even outlawed. So you think of kind of like Skyrim. Most people know Skyrim, where one of the main religions, because of a war with the elves, has now been kind of kicked off, and I cannot remember the deity. And the elves did not like the deity because, simply put, the deity was a human that was raised up to God level. And the elves do not want that. So, something like that. All right. So then we have magic. I'm going to read it for those that are doing Starfinder. Although, for me personally, I don't think it's going to be a big deal. But here we are. Magic, the world's residents may be deeply in tune with mystical energies, completely devoid of them, or somewhat in between. So, let's say this in a spectrum here. So if you're doing Starfinder, maybe it's magic. If you're doing Star Trek, you could have magic. It could be some sort of other, we already had a religious deity or whatever. If you're doing a Star Wars, is this going to be a species that could or may never become force sensitive? You could do something like that as well. All right, so magic with the up, extremely powerful mystics, technomancers, and or which warpers might rule the world. Or they might simply be very common. Species might commonly have innate magical abilities, making lower magic very common. The world might have access to magical portals or starships or even mystical means of faster than light travel. So there's something else that brings in. Think of like the old, in the old Dungeons and Dragons, they had ships that through magical means they could go out into space. So it'd be a wooden ship with cannons of nonetheless, but you could take it out to space because of the magic available, and you could actually get it to go from one planet to another. I never got into that. I do remember seeing images, and I do remember seeing books, and my mind goes all the way back to 2nd edition on that, so I know I'm getting old. For neutral, the world is no stranger to magic, but it does not play a huge role in everyday life. Lack of magical ability might be common, but it might also take a significant display of magic to draw any attention here. Magic with the arrow down, magic might be extremely uncommon, outlawed, or met with great suspicion. Or it might not function at all on this world. A visitor casting a spell in front of residents might cause serious repercussions. Okay, same thing with tech, because tech could very easily be the same as, say, magic. And I think there's an episode where they have like an early stage Vulcan type civilization, and they were looking for someone or something. Something got kind of messed up, and then Picard had to beam down, and of course somebody had seen someone use their comm badge to talk to Picard, so then they started believing of Picard as a deity. Okay, so tech going up. The world likely has access to starships capable of drift travel. That's what they call theirs, or faster than light, which can reach destinations at faster than light speeds. It also likely has a compatible equivalent to the universal polymer base, a multifunctional modular technology that can be used to create virtually any item, replicators, as well as a globally accessible infosphere, like an internet. The world may be, for neutral here, the world may or may not have access to starships capable of interplanetary travel. It likely has equipment, materials, and technology equivalent to modern-day Earth, which is where I was kind of thinking that this would be. Tech is a downward. The world's technology is rudimentary, likely limited to simple machines, stone or metal, tools, and generally unrefined materials made from available natural resources. So, works pretty good. And like I said, this is still kind of generic enough if you're trying to use it for Starfinder, depending on how you want to play your game. Like I said, I have not played Starfinder, but if you're trying to use it for like a Star Trek, a Star Wars, or any other number of futuristic role-playing games, I think it would be very easy to quickly transfer it into that. And then we have alignments, creating systems, creating a non-player character. I'm going to spare us all the reading of this because, I know my reading is not always the best and I'm a slower reader. But I think what it gives us is a very nice way of starting our own worlds, which is what I was kind of hoping for when I saw it. Of course, I was thinking, and I think it was named appropriately this way, deck of many things for like Dungeons and Dragons. So we can always just shuffle this up. And for all the people that will sit here and scream at me because I'm bending the cards. And we'll just kind of cut it. Now, I'm just doing this just to show you. I'm going to try and do it their way because it does make sense. So we have a water world. We will turn this over, and of course then they want us to flip it like here. So in this water world, tech is probably going to be somewhat like ours. Accord, it's not a major player in any system. It's up on religion, up on magic, low on laws and chaos, low on the good and evil spectrum. And then we have 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So what we have is we have 5 different creatures. I don't know how we're going to work this out here. Although the first one looks like it's more of a beaver, maybe on a water world. Then we have some sort of dog creature, a gray, Ifrit, and then I am not even going to take a chance at the last one, although it looks kind of like a jellyfish, so that might work in a water world. Okay, and then we have 3 creatures here, which are going to be our bad guys here. So we have an elemental, which would work in a water world. I can't hide halogen. I don't know, and a dragon. I don't know where maybe a water dragon of some sort. Being on a water world. So, you know, it brings up interesting things. You know, maybe the wolf type people. If we look at our own world, maybe there were one big continent, maybe everything melted, and there's small settlements on some of these islands, along with the Greys and the Ifrit, while we have the beavers, which used to be plentiful, and now they've become more of a species. Maybe they're making their own on sandbars or something like that. And then we have a water type, I'm going to guess a water type creature right there. So, you know, it works out, works pretty good. Of course, then we also have space stations here. We have ice worlds. We have desert worlds, another water world. And of course, then you get to see different, you know, I don't know what you would call ours, because I think the planet is more water than it is, you know, but we have some fairly good sized continents. Terrestrial, another ice world, gas giants, terrestrial world. And the whole other thing is maybe if it's a water world, but they have floating cities or something like that. Maybe it's been colonized with floating cities and that. Another gas giant, a very irregular world. So as you can see, it's a very odd shape. Actually, it looks more of a donut. Gas giant, another water world. You know, so you get the idea. I think this works pretty good. I think it's got some really good themes here. For what I want to use it for, I think it would work very well. So if it's something that interests you, for whether you're doing Starfinder or you're doing something else, I would really recommend getting it. I don't remember it being overly expensive. I'm going to take a wild guess at $20 or less. I picked it up for $20. So, and that's what it retails for. So, it gives a lot of opportunities for trying to create worlds for those that, you know, even for someone that's used to making worlds and that, sometimes we get in what would be termed as a writer's slump, where you're trying to figure out what you should do, but you've not 100% figured that out, and maybe this will help kind of just make it random or whatever. So, well, thank you. Thank you for visiting. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you in the next video.